Late night at the store. We are your video store clerks. And I'm sad. You know why I'm sad?
Why?
I feel like I haven't had one of my laughing fits for a long time on this show. But Dave, you weird little love sponge,
Dave.
you laugh all the time. No, I haven't had one of my laughing fits in a long time. But I think we're going to have one tonight because tonight on Video Store Clerks Live tonight, we're going to be talking horror comedy. Ha! Join us. Here we go.
It's not a legacy I want to leave behind, but I am Chuck Nash.
How the fuck am I out of whiskey already?
This shit can't be any fucking good.
Welcome to the store.
Yay.
Call myself a love sponge. I think
Yeah,
I did.
you did.
I think I
Did
did.
You called yourself a love sponge?
We did.
I don't know.
That's a way to come into a show.
I said I was going to wing it. There you go. Welcome to Video Store Clerks. We are your humble clerks for the evening. I'm Dave.
I'm Chad, man.
I'm Chuck.
Fucking enthusiasm. Welcome again to the store. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We are your clerks. And tonight, yes, we're going to do horror comedies. Last week when we said we were going to do this, I was like, oh, that'd be easy. Man, this was fucking difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a real tough one. You guys said it was harder than last week's than the Carpenter one.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
I still think the Carpenter one's the hardest one we ever did because of like asking to pick 3 of your favorite Carpenter movies, I think is fucking ridiculous.
It is good to be drunk, Richard.
Welcome to the store, Richard. We're gonna have to give out some kind of like awards for our loyal viewers because I think Rich has been here every week.
Yeah. Well then,
So,
hell yeah.
So anyway, our clerks are going to discuss 3 of their favorite horror comedies of all time. This is really interesting, and I'm really curious to see what you guys picked. So hell, let's just get started. My number 3, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I love this movie. I used to rent it all the time. I think the box art drew me into. Do you remember the like with the cloud forming into the zombie or whatever?
Yeah.
The bloody letters.
Yeah. Yeah.
1986, I think that movie
Something
came
like
out, and it was there a comedy zombie movie before that? I don't know if there was.
You're talking about just the Return of the Living Dead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
A zombie comedy like that before then? I don't think so.
I don't really want to name anything in case it's anybody.
I can't. Yeah, I can't think of any right off the top of my head.
Yeah, you have. Well, Rich, you're gonna have to fact check us on that one. I think ahead of its time, most definitely, and a very
Great
unexpected
film.
movie. It was a great film and a great soundtrack too. I'll never
Yeah,
forget
definitely.
that part with when the army jeep cuts around the corner and the zombies are in the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Lot of great scenes, especially ones in cemeteries.
Yeah,
I always loved that scene as a kid.
yeah, and because what was it? The toxic waste or something got into the river and the virus broke out and the zombies got loose. Very funny movie from my childhood.
I always because
I'm alone on this mountain.
I love it because you are talking about just Return of the Living Dead, not Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
I would say Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
Oh, okay. So not the one where that is like got the cemetery scene and with the chick running around naked and stuff. Not that one.
Oh no, no.
Oh, okay.
Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
Oh, okay. That's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Like it's a good one. I mean, it is a fun one. I probably need to go back and rewatch that. It's been a minute actually. I was thinking about the original one.
Mm-hmm. But I used to read that movie all the time when I was a kid. Loved it. But now, like I said, I'm really curious to see what you guys pick. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chuck.
What?
Oh, he's still deciding. He's still
Oh,
deciding.
he's still deciding. Okay. All right. So this one was kind of a tough one, like we've already discussed. This one is definitely a tough one. So even starting off with my number 3, it's
Still
kind of
feel
tough,
cheated, don't you?
huh?
So you still feel cheated, just only 3 of them. Like it's too fucking hard.
Yeah, right. You might have to up it to like 4, and then 5 at some point. I don't know, but right now we have to do this. So I'm gonna have to go with like I said, I'm going with classics tonight. As a kid, this was a movie that, as a kid, there were parts of it that freaked me the fuck out, but also I cracked up. I watched this movie the other night actually, and it still cracks me up. But I would have to go with number 3 pick being The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. The classic Don Knotts film about a haunted house and a nerdy wannabe news reporter and a hot chick that he finds out actually likes him. And well, you know how the end usually works out. This movie is one of my favorites because it's just that even the sound. I told you I'm going classics, man. The sound of the piano. Like, you've seen this movie, haven't you?
No.
No.
Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. You have to watch this movie. It's such a good one. I mean, it's smoky one and like fired up and put this motherfucker in. This is a good one. This is one of my favorites. There's a piano that's stained in blood that plays this certain tune. And it's just so fucking menacing. Even though it's a funny movie, it still freaks me out to this day. But it's one of my favorites. It's classic Don Knotts. Good stuff. That's mine.
Oh wow, Don Knotts. You're making this up. Is this real?
Yes, The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. My dad, but like, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. My dad was the one that introduced this as a kid, man. There's the fucking disc and everything. You don't believe it? Yeah, it's a classic. It's a good one. It's family, and it's family friendly. Okay, it's family friendly. Good stuff. Yeah, makes you think about how the good days probably were. Whatever. Okay, so that's mine.
Yeah. Wow, good pick. Good pick.
Oh yeah, see, I'm trying to be different here.
You were going for the classics.
I told you.
Yeah, you did.
Surprise.
All right, what about you, Chad?
Fuck. Still torn. We're gonna go The Burbs.
See, yeah.
Like that
It's a
movie.
good one.
I've seen that movie fucking a million times, and it still makes me laugh every fucking time I watch it. It's just like the band between everybody just fucking kills me. Like
there were some great characters in that movie.
Like
Citizens arrest! Citizens arrest! No, I no. That's. See, that was one other one I was thinking of, and I was like, fuck, because that is a fucking killer movie. I mean, that movie is so good. Because that's man, I might watch that later. Fucking Tom Hanks,
cast, and then Corey Feldman.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, it's Carrie Fisher,
Bruce Dern.
Movie. Yes. And I'm not
the guy that plays
Tom
Art
Hanks fan, but I'm an '80s Tom Hanks fan, and this was one of his best.
Yeah,
completely. And it keeps you guessing the whole time. Are they? Aren't they? Are they? Aren't they? It keeps you guessing until the very end.
Where are you going, Hans Christian Andersen? You saw some of my skulls, didn't you?
Like, that's just like some realistic shit you could see like going down in like the suburbs though.
Well,
like
because it
weird ass family moved next door and you're like all sketched out and they just fucking are all up in everybody else's business.
It happens.
Right. Sounds like my neighborhood.
Truth. I mean, it has that old like Rear Window kind of feel to it, you know, where it's like, did I just see this actually happening, or am I just, it's all in my fucking head, you know? But there's, and the thing is, just like I was talking about Ghost of Mr. Chicken, even though it's like it's mainly funny, The Burbs has some parts in it too where you're like, that's fucking creepy. You know what I mean? Like it really is.
It has with the cookout, and he's like the main course.
Yeah. Well, like Bruce Dern's character, where he's just like always on guard, and he's always, you know, like the great characters in that movie. Great one. And the fact that like everybody gathers at Corey Feldman's house to watch the show.
Right. Got the pizza dudes coming.
And when he says it, you can't help but to think of fucking Michelangelo.
Right.
Pizza dude's
Completely.
got 30 seconds.
That's just a fucking, I don't know. Like, I can watch that movie anytime. That's pretty much what I'm picking. Just movies I can throw in at any given time of day and be happy.
Yeah, I feel
Great.
the same on that one.
This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Hey, we're just getting started.
Hell yeah.
Well, let's move on to number 2. Boy, this is the one I struggled with for some reason. The one in the middle. But my final answer is Gremlins 2.
Okay.
The first one actually freaked me out a little bit when I was a kid. It had some pretty scary moments,
Yes.
but I do love the second one. So, well, we did Gremlins that one night on Tales from the Podcast too, and that was a good time.
Oh yeah, dude. No, I totally am with you on that one because the original Gremlins had its funny moments, but it was more of a horror film.
Mhm.
I mean, it definitely had more of a horror vibe to it, you know. Gremlins 2 is definitely it's a hilarious fucking movie. I mean, you can't tell me they weren't trying to make it a funnier franchise from that
Mhm.
one, and it's still got some great fucking effects and whatnot, you know, and stuff. I love Gremlins 2. It's one of my favorites. Good choice, Dave.
Oh, thank you very much.
Definitely.
Yes,
That's a
one of
good
my
one.
favorites too. It won't ever get those movies again. I guarantee it.
They
but-
keep saying, I hope so.
The second one, it was like, okay, we know we can't top the first one, so we're not even going to try.
Yeah.
So let's just make fun of it. And it worked. It actually worked.
Yeah. And I agree with Richard talking about the chimney thing in Gremlins. Yeah, it's actually going back as an adult and rewatching that movie a few years back and whatever after I watched it for a minute, and actually paying attention to that whole story. It's like, God, that is fucking dark as fuck.
Yes.
Like, why did that not affect me as a child, and why do I laugh hysterically now?
Yeah. Like he slipped, broke his neck, died instantly.
Like, if I had a therapist, I would tell them about this. Like, why do I think this is funny?
Yeah. It's like, I know you're Phoebe Cates and all, but I don't know. I might have to fucking walk away from this one.
I always like the old lady in the fucking little chair that goes up the steps.
Oh,
She
Mrs.
goes flying
Yeah.
out the
Deagle
window.
had one of the best death scenes in the history of fucking cinema when they launched
did
her
she-
out that window.
She deserved that shit like no other.
And
That
she
fuck that
totally
bitch.
got what was coming to her. From
But-
that very
So
first
bad.
scene she was in the beginning of the movie, and the way she treated the dog and all this, like you wanted
You knew
it to
she was
happen.
done. Yeah.
You knew it. You knew it was coming.
Gremlins 2 though. Think about the greatness that that movie is. Like this, like going back to I really love the fact you chose this one because Gremlins 2, like I said, it's got more of a comedic element than the original did. But like God, like they open up the doors to so many different types of gremlins. The intelligent gremlin, which is one of my favorites in that movie. But he's on the interview with the Dracula, like, you know, the movie host guy. And he's like, see, civilization, you just don't get it because I think it's very civilized. And then that one gremlin comes up, he's like, ah! And he just shoots him and he goes, see, that wasn't very civilized. No, it wasn't. Like, it's just like that shit cracks me up. The bat gremlin that has the bat symbol when it goes through the thing and all that. And the fact that, yeah, and the fact that Christopher fucking Lee is the fucking main scientist in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and one day we will do a Christopher Lee episode too.
Oh God,
Has to.
yes. Oh, we have to.
You have to.
Has to. But yeah, I love that fucking movie.
And the great John Glover, who's one of my favorite actors in the world, had a part that reminds you of a certain somebody, huh? I can't imagine who. Anyway, moving on. Who's your number 2?
Wait, what? Wait, I'm lost. I'm totally lost. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, Clamp. Clamp was clearly supposed to be Trump.
Oh, okay. Well, like
Way
back
back
in the
then.
day when Trump, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I got you. All right, so just straightforward here. Just be honest with each other. You know, we have a good relationship.
The,
right,
the
anyway.
video store is a safe place, Dave.
It's a safe place. It's a safe space for all of us.
It looks like 10:30 might be our time, guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you think so? I guess we'll see. We still have so much to discuss.
We do.
Yeah.
Chuck going to year 2.
You really are having trouble with this, aren't you, Chad?
Yes.
Really is. You've
'Cause
never had
usually
this
Chad's-
much trouble before.
Yeah, usually Chad's next and then me, and I usually have a second to make sure I'm actually got my choices. Okay. So my second choice, which I have the DVD for this, I was just going to pull them up as I went, but I can't seem to find it. No fucking telling where it's at because I have watched this movie a bunch and I love it to death. It's another classic that people wouldn't even fucking imagine. But it was a toss up when it came down to these two. And I'm going to give both of them. Okay. So bear with me here. The first one, though, is a movie called Haunted Honeymoon.
Oh, wow. You're really pulling the classics up.
I told you. As a kid, again, that movie had scenes in it that could be seen like as like classic terrifying. You know, like that. You have the rain coming down. You have the weird creatures. You have the weird like story. You have those classic elements of horror. You know, the guy's eyes light up like the last second, that kind of shit. You know, but it's also like caked in fucking comedy. You know, one of the most famous scenes in that movie is when well, okay, first off, a little bit of a thing because for those that aren't sure what Haunted Honeymoon is, a movie about a couple who is played by oh my god,
Steve
no.
Gutenberg?
What, Willy Wonka?
Oh, Gene Wilder. Oh,
Thank you, Gene Wilder and his wife at the time, Gilda Radner. They're radio show hosts that they're getting ready to get married. They're going on a honeymoon. This whole thing. Some things happen to Larry's family, which is a Duda's family, and they have to go to this big castle where there's oh fuck, goddamn, I'm drawing it blanks on fucking everybody's fucking name. Dom DeLuise. He plays the aunt in the fucking movie. Which, if you know who Dom DeLuise is, he was a hilarious comedian who was very dramatic and just all this shit. Like, he was great. But he plays the
Reynolds rap guy.
yeah. But they have to go and have to take care of a bunch of family oriented stuff. Bunch of family comes, all this stuff. And this castle, mansion, whatever you want to call it, a bunch of weird shit starts happening. One thing in particular is a scene where Gene Wilder has bludgeoned a man to death, like not to death, but made him pass out. And these cops are coming by, like they're trying to check things out. They hear screaming, whatever, and they see that who he is. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a television host and all this, or a radio show host or actor." And he's like, "Oh yeah, blah blah." And he's like, the legs keep kicking underneath him because he's got his body in there, and it looks like he has the legs of the guy that he bludgeoned, and he's just moving. And he's like, "Oh yeah," and he's like murderer, like there's a whole thing. It's hilarious. And one of the creepiest scenes in that movie is a scene where the character of Larry is laying in bed and this guy comes walking. And I'll never forget this shit as a kid too. When I first saw it, freaked me the fuck out. Guy comes walking from the fucking like ceiling down the wall and like right in front of his face. And Larry's just going, "I'm having a nervous breakdown. This isn't real." And he's just sitting there feeling his face. He's like, oh. And the guy's face is just like it cracks me up every time. It also is just completely disturbing. Yeah, so Haunted Honeymoon, that one, and then I have to mention. Should I wait and mention the other one?
Yeah,
I guess we'll do honor.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. Yeah, okay. So yeah, Haunted Honeymoon. I'm glad you all have seen it because it is a
I've
classic.
seen it in a long
it's been a
time.
while.
Maybe you should watch it now.
I'm gonna probably have to watch both of your picks next.
You should.
Man,
You should.
good Lord.
Yeah.
You might be
Laugh
the
your
winner.
asses off. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm a winner. Yay!
Wasn't John Candy in that too, right?
John Candy was not in that.
He wasn't in that.
Mm-mm.
Thought he was.
That's Don DeLuise you're thinking of.
Oh,
and John
I'm thinking
Candy-
I'm thinking of a different movie.
Nothing but trouble,
Yeah.
which is another favorite. But
Yeah, I almost said that one too.
Yeah.
same.
That's what I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very underrated movie that we'll probably come back to.
But yeah, totally.
I'm gonna have to go with one of the movies that kind of got me into like monsters and shit, which was Monster Squad.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That movie there, I can fucking just throw in any time of day, night, whatever the fuck. Watch it. Still fucking
Yeah.
gets me laugh. Like bringing in every fucking Universal monster possible into
Oh
this
yeah,
little
dude.
world. You know what I
Genius.
mean? Like,
Yes. The Goonies meets the Universal monsters. That's fucking money, man.
right.
I love the Goonies and all, but Monster Squad for that reason. My dad, like my dad got me into Dracula and Wolfman and all that shit, and then Monster Squad came out, and he's like, "I taped this on HBO for you. I think you'll enjoy it," and it became a favorite of mine, like fucking instantly. You know what I mean?
That's
How,
what-
how can it? Like, if you like grew up in like our time of era, you know what I mean? Like, if you're a horror fan and you haven't seen that shit, you're just doing it wrong.
That's what I watched. I watched it on HBO also, and I think I had it on the same tape as The Lost Boys. And I think that time, The Lost Boys and The Monster Squad, I think was the last time that vampires were cool
Yeah,
and scary for
Yeah.
a really long time. Maybe to this day, I'm not sure. I can't remember another time that a vampire was actually scary in a movie.
yeah.
But that performance of Dracula in The Monster Squad, I think, was like really underrated. I thought it was
ambulance, you bitch.
I thought it was one of the
It's the
best.
most pimp line ever.
And
He says it to a little girl.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's why it's so pimp too, though. Like, that makes it even more pimp.
and he was actually scary in that movie. And he had that the most
He
generic
did.
costume that I
Yeah.
swear I think I wore that same costume to my 5th grade Halloween party. But somehow
Yeah.
he makes it work. Somehow it works.
And like all
Yeah.
the monsters looked great.
Oh,
Like, Stan
God.
Winston is a fucking genius. Like, he's the man when it comes to like making fucking monsters up like that. Because
Like-
even like the creature, like he looked
Mhm.
really.
I was
good.
gonna say, yeah.
Wolfman looked really good. Like, they all looked really, really good.
The Wolfman looked great. And the transformation when he's in the phone booth,
Yeah.
Perfect.
probably one of the best ever. And they even did a transformation with Dracula and the Bat too. That was kind
Yes.
of creepy.
Right.
That was very disturbing.
Whenever they unraveled the mummy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that shit looked dope.
That movie, I'm glad that movie finally got the yeah. I'm glad that movie got the recognition that it deserved after a while. Because like you said, like everything that was just named is what makes that movie so fucking great. Because they
Right.
didn't slack on the monsters at all. I mean, Creature looks amazing. Dude, please put out
Yeah.
another fucking Creature movie. Use that fucking similar fucking,
If they
idea.
could find that cast somewhere, like for that costume, that'd be fucking sick.
Yeah, dude, that'd be fucking great. Like, I mean, the Wolfman, like you're talking about, that is one of, I mean, next to American Wolf in London, that is my favorite Wolfman transformation.
Yeah.
He's gonna kill your son. Like that, he's just like slobbery, just like, "Argh!" And it reminded me. I used to have if you remember the old Ghostbuster figures for the cartoon. They had the classic Wolfman, Dracula, all that shit. And I had the Wolfman one. And dude, when I was a kid and I'm playing my stuff, like it's the Wolfman from Monster Squad. That's who I have. I have the Wolfman from Monster Squad and he has Nards. Like,
Nards.
it's like, that's, oh, man. Yeah. The scene where like that's the only time that I've ever seen in a movie where like Wolfman gets blown up, but Wolfman can't die except for Silver.
Right.
That's the only time that I can think of where it's like, oh, well, he's been blown up, so he's fine. I was like, oh, wait a minute, but it wasn't with Silver, so now his body's gonna like come back together. Like, it's kind of fucked up, and it used to get a lot of shit, but I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. It looks so good too. Like,
Oh
that
yeah,
that was also one of the coolest parts.
Then you see his like silhouette howl and he runs back away.
yeah. And the scene with Dracula when he's a bat. As a kid, for some reason, that just always bothered me. I think even as an adult, it bothered me because he's laying there and he's like half human, half bat. He just looks like he's pregnant, for one, and he's just like, like you're just like, Jesus Christ. Like, it's got some really fucking gnarly scenes of that movie. And yes, Dracula is pretty scary in that movie. He's got a very like he's not worried about wooing no chicks. He's got his cheerleaders.
Yeah,
You know,
he's got a mission and he's gonna get it done. He don't care like what the cost. He'll kill a bunch of little kids if he wants to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he took out the whole police department at the end there too.
And that fucking
Yeah,
person in that movie was sick.
Mm-hmm. Bogus. But you know what though? You can deny it all you want, but tell me that you don't get a little bit of a tear in your eye every time you watch that movie and Frankie has to go.
Oh, and he's like, Phoebe.
Oh,
Bye.
My
always
dad
good.
cried at that part.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the only gripe I have about that is the fact that we obviously know that Frankenstein was not the name of the monster. But that's small potatoes. That's a classic fucking film, and I don't give a fuck. That movie's great.
They did
So
acknowledge that at one point
Yeah,
in the movie too.
they say that. They just start calling him Frank for short. pretty
Yeah.
much.
Did they acknowledge that in the movie?
It was
Yeah.
earlier on when they were giving Rudy his test. They,
Yeah, his
I think one of the
Monster
questions
Squad
was,
initiation.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. Okay.
I think they asked him, was Frankenstein the name of the monster or the guy? And he said the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, we can't forget about Rudy. I mean,
Rudy
come
was-
on.
He was like a middle school kid that dressed like he was in his 50s, and he was like,
Smoking cigarettes and like, I mean, come on. It has one of the best like.
he was
Like,
a greaser on a bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, I don't. You know how many of me and my friends wanted to be that guy.
I
You know
did.
what I mean? Like, like my first pack of Marlboro Reds, like, stole it from Walmart. Okay, back when it was easy to do that shit.
And
You just stick them. You can just grab them out of the fucking side aisle.
he even drank a beer at one point. And watching the girl, watching kid's sister.
Yeah, he was always
Yeah.
checking out Patrick's sister.
Yeah. The scene where Rudy makes the bully eat the fucking candy bar.
Mhm.
Just eat it up. We'll call it a day. Rudy.
RJ.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's such a good movie. It's such a good
really
fucking
is.
movie.
But
Oh
he
my
was
God.
best at the end when he has the bow and arrow. I'm
Yeah.
in the goddamn club, aren't I? Then he kills those three vampires, his mistresses or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a cool scene. That whole
I mean-
part at the end when they're all fighting is
Mm-hmm.
great.
And the creature comes out of the fucking manhole.
Well, yeah, that's a scene too. Though, like every kid that's ever been picked on wanted to be him for a second.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, the bullies are freaked out, whatever, and then like he pops it at the fucking like creature, and he's like, "My name is Horace," and you're like, "Yes!" Like even now, I cheer for that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and unfortunately, he's no longer with us. That actor anymore. So, but what sucks because I would love to have met him and be like, dude, you really were like you stood up for you were the little guy. You know what I mean? Like you kind of like fuck this shit. You fucking blew away the creature. So
He
the
was,
rest
he
of
was
it,
pretty
damn.
funny in that movie.
He was like Fat Kid or whatever from what's his name
That's
in
what we were talking
Goonies.
about. Yeah, he was. Like
He's
Junk.
very similar. Yeah.
That's
Like,
why we said it's pretty much like Goonies with monsters because it's all the
Mhm.
same character elements are there.
yeah. So it's so good. I mean, it really is. Like honestly, I'd say we could probably go back and discuss this movie on its own episode, and would be able to fill up an entire hour just because that I feel like it's one of those movies, and I'm glad somebody else. That's why I picked the movies that I did because I wasn't sure. So yeah.
Great movie. What else can you say? That was almost my number one, actually.
I got there too, and I was like, nope, it's going to be picked. We're going to talk about it regardless.
Army of Darkness.
Hell yeah!
What can you say? It's one of the best horror comedy, best movies of all time.
That's my
Hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That is not my number one, but it's really funny
Oh.
because it got really close to being number one, and I was like, you know what? I'm sticking with the classics tonight. But that's it almost got there. It almost got there.
Oh, now I'm really curious.
It's hard for it not to be a number one.
Mm-hmm. So that one was easy for me. It was 2 and 3 that I struggled with.
Yeah.
And I think I still am. Like, even in my brain right now, I'm like, I should have said that.
Oh, we'll come back.
We'll
to
come
those.
back to everything. Yeah, we'll come back
The
to
honorable
everything.
mentions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Army of Darkness. That's one that Yeah, I would definitely consider it like a horror comedy. I would because it's just too funny. Hey,
It's got
she
that
bitch.
slapstick type Three Stooges shit that Sam and Bruce were into. You know what I mean? Like it's through and through from the start to
Yeah.
the end of it.
Oh yeah. Which is why like I mean their stuff still stands the test of time. I mean that's
What's even great too, like if you haven't seen it, not to cut you off, but like if you haven't seen it, and then like you go back and watch two, whenever Bruce is like, "Well, that guy really screwed up, huh?" Like you realize he's talking shit about himself.
yeah. Like the again characters are great in the fucking movie. The story plot is just so perfect. I mean, because honestly, like when you watch Evil Dead 2, and then you're like Army of Darkness, you're like, what the fuck is this shit? So he's going back in time with it, but like shortly after you watch, you're like, yeah, this makes sense. This
Pretty
makes
much
perfect
the one that molded his character. You know what I mean? Like, that's whenever he started being that guy.
Yeah, completely. Like he was already kind of working his way there, but he was kind of tired of it all by the time the Army of Darkness came around. It's just kind of like, God damn it. I mean, come on. One of the funniest scenes is him trying to memorize the words.
Right.
And he's just like looking around like,
See, I always like the scene where like he breaks the mirror and all the little guys are running around.
Of course. The Gulliver's Travels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever he actually breaks out all the ropes, like that one gets all scared and just freezes. He's like, "Oh no!" And then like the other come and grab him and pull him away.
Yeah, it's hard not to laugh at that fucking movie. Like that's a good
That's
one.
why I got a whole sleeve just dedicated to the trilogy.
Well, I don't have a whole sleeve. I do have the Necronomicon. I figure that just kind of says it enough.
I'll be that guy that says, "Fuck Star Wars. This is my trilogy."
Right?
You know what? I'm gonna be with you on that one. Although I would say Indiana Jones, but I think I'll go. I think I could go with Evil Dead on that one. That makes sense. Okay, cool.
And it's another
I
one.
would say-
That's like, oh, so I was just gonna say, there's another one of those movies that I could watch anytime and be entertained.
Oh yeah. Like how can you not? I mean my daughter, when I was trying to get her into more horror related stuff, we watched. I was like, okay, pick out because I get my VHS and stuff, and I was like, pick out a movie. Me and you we were having a movie night. I was in one of those dad modes. I was like, all right, kid, Dad's had a few drinks. We're gonna watch a movie, okay? All right, cool. And she's like 14 at the time, whatever. And I was like, pick a movie out, and then she picks up Army of Darkness, and I was just like, you make me proud. I was like, but I'm gonna have to explain some things to you. And she's like, okay, whatever. And she loved that one. And then I showed her Evil Dead 2, and she liked it, but she still preferred Army of Darkness. More her flavor, you know what I mean? Because it's got more of that humor aspect of things.
I remember seeing it as a kid, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
Pretty sure I saw it before any of them.
I was just gonna say the same thing. That's so weird. I think I saw that trilogy in reverse.
Yeah.
I think I
saw
2-1.
I saw Evil Dead first, but I only saw it like halfway through. It was on USA Up All Night, and I saw like literally the middle of the movie and on. And it was the one time where it was USA Up All Night, but I guess Gilbert Gottfried or Rhonda Shear couldn't be on it, so they would just throw up the Up All Night thing. And it was never said what the movie was until like I saw it after the credits. Like, yeah. So they're there for like a long time. Like I didn't even pay attention to what it was called, and then finally I saw it again later on. I was like, oh shit, it's that fucking movie. There's another one, and then there's this movie. Okay,
Yeah.
I can dig it. All right. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a favorite.
Richard said it's funny whenever he has the Reagan face and he has to shake it off, and then briefly he looks like David Hasselhoff, and then he goes back to himself.
There's so many good scenes in that fucking movie too.
I agree.
There's badass and good ass.
My favorite part's whenever he's like, "Hey, you got some stuff on your face." Just
that's my favorite part.
Actually, on Tales from the Podcast, we interviewed Patricia Tallman, who she was Barbara in Night of the Living Dead, and she was also, which I didn't know that until we did the interview. She was the she bitch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. I was like, oh shit, does stunts and all kinds of shit. But yeah, random thought there.
Another random.
Army of Darkness.
Bill Moseley played one of the skeleton fighters.
Yep. Yep. And that's actually only become more known lately.
Right.
Yeah. Which I mean, how the fuck would you know there was?
Yeah. Without trying to check it out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Through and through.
This is an educational show.
Some days.
Some days.
Well, it's kind of like even though I'm not a Walking Dead fan, but like Scott Ian was a zombie on Walking Dead one time. And I never like as I kind of lost track of that fucking show, not to be just random like off track here. I never even noticed it until it was pointed out later on in like a clip, and I was like, "Oh, that how could I not tell?"
Right.
You know,
And I will say, I miss the TV show. I miss Ash versus Evil Dead. That was such a great show.
it was such a good fucking show.
That and Preacher, I miss very much.
Preacher was dope.
Yeah, I'm so behind on Preacher, and I didn't watch the last season or two of Ash versus Evil Dead. I still need to go and finish watching that again. It's a good one. It just life happened. You know,
No, I get it.
happens. You know, shit happens. Whatever.
Oh my
Army of
God.
Darkness is a great one.
I'm really curious now. What's your number one, Chuck Nasty?
Are you ready for my number one?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Are you ready for my number one?
I don't know what you're going to pick.
Okay, because this is the one I was sort of struggling with. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one. This is my number one because this was right up there with the other one I was gonna do for number two, but it was also a toss up. But we'll get to that in a second. This is a classic and also a Gene Wilder film.
Oh,
I didn't know I didn't know if you all were gonna pick River. Like I said, I'm going old school. That's something. This is not the color version, which I'm glad about. There is a version. It looks like it would be. I hate
is there a color version of that?
just what they did with Night of the Living Dead. Exactly. It takes away the fucking
Never
mystique
seen
of it.
that one either, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
But-
weird. I didn't know that.
This is a film. Anybody that's a fan of the old Universal films. Which real quick, is my audio okay right now?
Yeah.
Okay, it was being strange on mine for a second. But anyway, but Young Frankenstein though, again as a kid, I mean, I knew about fucking Spaceballs. Come on, and I don't know if I watched Blazing Saddles yet. I'm gonna really hope that my parents watched my ass on that one as a kid, because that movie, I love that movie, but goddamn, you could not put that movie out now. Anyway, but Young Frankenstein though, Peter Boyle, fucking goddamn, what's his fucking name? The guy, Terry Garr, obviously. What is his fucking name? Oh, Marty Feldman, the guy that plays Igor. Igor. So, walk this way. Like, I mean, how can you? I mean, there's so many like puns and shit in that fucking movie that like, how can you not watch it and have a great time every time? I mean, even there's, the scene, yeah, there's the scene where like, the monster is, they're doing the whole putting on the Ritz, put on the Ritz, like it's just like, I don't know, like it's really, it's a great movie. I mean, the whole scene with Terry Garr, who as when I was younger, I had a crush on her like big time.
Oh God.
And when he jumps in the back of the hay thing, and she's like, "How about I roll in the hay?" And he's like, she's like, "Roll in the hay, roll." And it's just stupid shit like that. Like Farbluka, like everything goes ape shit, And there's some great fucking moments in this fucking movie.
My favorite part is when they're on stage and he gives them the treat. He gives them the dog treat.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, that cracks me up every time.
I love actually the beginning of it when Gene Wilder is in Dr. Frankenstein is in his classroom and he does the whole thing. He has the poor little old guy up there that he's basically tormenting for what, fucking $10 or some shit like that. And he's doing this whole speech and somebody asked him about his great grandfather and all that stuff. Which, by the way, if you notice what the time period is supposed to be in the movie and certain people that are in that audience, it makes it even funnier. the Asian guy with the mustache and the long hippie hair, and then you have like there's Mel Brooks has always been great about like just throwing in little subtle things that you're like you're gonna notice it immediately and you're gonna laugh your ass off because it's fucking stupid. But he's sitting there and he's been asked about his grandfather's like stuff, and he's given this whole thing about I am not interested in the preservation of death. I am interested in the preservation of life, or whatever the fuck he says. And he slams the fucking scalpel into his leg, and he's like, class dismissed. And you're like, God, that's so moving. And you're like, he just shoved that fucking thing in his leg. No wonder he's so fucking like out of it. I love that scene. There's something about that scene. But then the other scene that I really love, it's just little subtle things. When he starts getting a little crazier after they go to the castle and all that. And he starts learning more about reanimation. And they're like, oh, Dr. Frankenstein. He goes, my name is Frankenstein. And you're just like, much respect. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, or how about the scene where the monster is locked up and there's got Igor and you've got Terry Garr's character. I'm drawing a blank on her name at the moment. And Gene Wilder's character is Frankenstein, whatever. And he's like, no matter what kind of horror atrocities you hear behind this door, do not open this door. Do not open this door. No matter if I'm screaming over and over again, do not open this door. And he goes in to the room with the monster. And he's like, let me out. Let me out. Let me out, mommy. Like, it's just Gene Wilder was a comedic genius. I've never watched anything from him that I didn't think was like fucking hilarious. Even down to See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Yeah, I mean, one of his best friends, Richard Pryor, you know what I mean, is a classic. And Young Frankenstein, which we actually have over here on the side here.
Out, but I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. It's such a fun movie. Every time I watch it, like they even mix in the Bride of Frankenstein with the character Gene Hackman's playing in it, which Gene Hackman plays a character that like usually Gene Hackman's a very serious guy, Lex Luthor or whatever, but like French Connection, shit like that, where he's always very like stern. And in this, he's playing the part of the old blind man from Bride of Frankenstein. And he's trying to like show him like fire, and he ends up setting his thumb on fire, trying to light a cigar. And then like the monster's just kind of like tired of him. He's like, "Rawr!" And like, yeah, I don't know. It's just there's just so many things about that movie that it has to be number one in my book. It really does. And like you said, like if we made this like a top 5, it would probably still be my number one, but there'd be totally a bunch underneath, which we'll get to momentarily.
Same here. Yeah. Wow, great picks tonight. I think mine kind of suck compared to you guys.
No, not at all. Actually, yeah, great picks.
I need to go back and watch all of Chuck's picks.
I know, right?
It's been a while it's probably been like a year since I've watched Young Frankenstein, but it's been many years since I've watched On That Honeymoon.
It makes me so fucking happy that you all like are like, hey man, yeah, because they're great movies. If you haven't seen them or it's been a long time, go fucking watch them. Anybody, go. They're great.
That's what we're here for. We are your video store clerks. That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Let's touch base on some movies that should be on the list that weren't.
No. One of many I was thinking about saying was The Frighteners.
Yes.
There's movies. There's two types of movies. There's movies Peter Jackson did before Lord of the Rings, and there's movies Peter Jackson did after Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And The Frighteners was one of those great ones that he did before, along with like Dead Alive and what was the other one?
Bad Taste.
Bad Taste.
Meet the Feebles.
Yeah. Oh God.
Which all had that like Peter Jackson feel to it. I can't describe
I love
it.
the old Peter Jackson movies.
Yeah, it was almost like Tim Burton, but not as dark. Probably, I don't know. Tim Burton was darker, but yeah, The Frighteners came on the other night, and I forgot how great a movie that was, and how great a part Michael J. Fox had. And
don't forget about fucking Jeffrey Combs, Reanimator himself.
Yeah, that's right. He had that great little part as that weird little guy.
He was the fucking Nazi guy.
Yeah, that's right. and Jake Busey.
Yeah.
We're all in it. Oh, that movie took me back. When did that come out? 95? 98?
94?
97? Something like that. Late 90s.
I don't know, it's around that. Yeah, I think it was about 94, 95.
I used to have it on DVD back in the day.
I have it on VHS somewhere.
But there's so many. You want to take turns on honorable mentions? Because I could.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I think I kind of named 3 just now, actually.
Well, who's next?
Go ahead.
Chad, really, this is honorable mentions now. There's not too much thinking.
A couple of them are on the screen that I'm seeing now. I never really noticed.
There honestly is so many, and we will tackle, especially one in particular I'm staring at that has to do with Evil Dead, in a way, if you already know. Yeah, we'll get to this second. But the one that I was wrestling with was another one that as a kid, and even to this day, I still love this movie, and it's also still classic. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Oh yes.
That movie's hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. Abbott and Costello, how they were as a duo was just so great. And in that movie, you really saw like the goofiness. You saw like the love hate there. Like okay, like the scene where it's like I can't remember which one was which. Sometimes I have to admit that. But the tall, skinny guy would always be worried about. He'd always be worried about like the little dude. Was it? I can't remember. Was it Abbott or whatever?
I always
yeah, there was always a complete best friends. Like you get on my fucking nerves, kid, but I love you to death. Like that kind of feel, And I always loved this movie. As a kid, I rented it from the library all the fucking time. From the opening, like they had the little animation opening that goes on, the black and white opening, to like for those that aren't sure of Abbott and Costello were a comedy duo back in the day, way back in the fucking day. They didn't just have horror comedies or that, but this was one of the best ones. And this one was about 2 guys that work at a fucking like delivery service kind of thing. And one guy has a freak show, not freak show, but like a museum of horror kind of thing. And he gets delivered the coffin of Dracula. Bela Lugosi is in it. Lon Chaney Jr. is in it, reprising his role as the Wolfman. And Jerry Talbot? Is it Jerry? No. Mr. Talbot, though. His last name was Talbot. Oh, that's going to bug the living shit out of me. Gary? No. Gary Talbot? I don't fucking know. Larry Talbot. God, I knew it was one of those Aries. Fuck. Mind blown. But he reprises that role. There's so many funny like moments, and one of them is when Abbott and Costello's characters, they get Dracula's coffin. They have to. Their thing is they have to take it to this place, deliver it, and then unpackage it, all that. And it was Frankenstein. That's who they got in actually. But they also had I guess they just got Dracula, and there's this whole little thing that little dude is fucking reading. The little skinny fat dude, or not skinny, the little tiny fat dude, little chubby dude. He's reading this whole thing about Dracula. And as he's reading it, he's got this little candle and he's trying to read it. And he puts the candle down and then like he sees that the candle is being lifted up by the coffin opening. And he's like, Chad. Like he just like goes off and like, gets him and like, he's like, what are you whining about? Like just that kind of whole like that old school comedy duo. And the fact that, again, kind of like Monster Squad, you mix it up with the Universal monsters. I mean, like you've got Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Wolfman. I think the Mummy is a part of it too. I think Creature's a part of it too. Yeah, they had the whole kit and caboodle.
It's been years since I've seen that. Right, 20 issues.
Yeah. Yeah, great. I mean, it's just it's such a good one. I mean, that really is one of those movies. Like, if you have kids and there's a horror thing in your household, yeah, you got to show it to them at some point in time. You got to show them that movie. You know,
I did just learn that that is number 56 on the 100 funniest American movies of all time.
and rightfully so. Rightfully fucking so.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Richard's list is pretty good over there.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I
Yes,
forgot
very
about
much
that
so.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
That was
Beetlejuice.
number 4-ish.
I thought
Yeah.
about Beetlejuice almost was my number 2 or 3 also. But I kind of
Yeah.
it was so well known that I kind of backed off a little bit.
See, the other one that was almost on my list was Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! See, I wanted to mention that too, because that movie is
That's
that
one of the
movie is very
newer
much
ones.
like Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's along those same lines. Like, they're not actually the bad guys, and there are other people aren't actually the bad guys, but you think
biggest
everybody's the bad guy.
ever.
Yeah, it is.
The biggest misunderstanding ever.
Yeah, it's very. They were supposed to. There was a whole thing before COVID happened. They were supposed to make the sequel to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it just COVID fucked everything up like always.
That happens.
Like, yeah, I would have liked to see that. That's a good one. That's a damn good one. Yeah,
I
I'm
found
glad
my-
you mentioned that.
I found that movie online on some website way back when.
These kids keep killing themselves.
But whenever I saw it, like the one scene where the kid's like, or it looks like he's chasing him with a chainsaw once he carves into the fucking beehive,
Yeah, that's
and then like the kid impales himself. Like the one I saw, it actually didn't have the fucking bee in it. Like it just said "bee insert here." So like, it was like a frame with the kid making like the face that he had the bee on his nose, but there was nothing there. It just
That's
said
funny.
bee.
It really was. I mean, it was it was the perfect kind of movie. I mean, they couldn't have made it any better than that.
No.
It's funny as shit. It's a good one. I mean, like, if you're wanting some, like, just stupid gore and stupid humor, it's a good one, because there is moments of gore in that movie, but it's like, it's the best way they did it. They couldn't have done that any better than that fucking movie. That
The
movie
scene where they're like talking to the cop whenever he shows up. They're like, "We're just having a doozy of a day, officer." He's like, "We're up here cleaning up my house, and then these kids are killing themselves all over my property."
Did you ever see the TV show Reaper?
Yeah,
You remember that show? Okay, I always loved that show. There's only 2 seasons of it. But the guy that came from Tucker and Dale, the bigger guy, that's where he came. That was his main thing, was Reaper at one time.
yeah.
And it's fucking. I mean, that's a funny ass show too. If you can go find it, I don't know where it's at.
On Netflix called Cottage something or other.
What is it?
Some weird, there's some show I think he's on Netflix. He has
Oh.
called Cottage something or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that shit. Good pick.
Yeah, that was one of those ones that I was deciphering through on my list.
if we were able to pick 5, I think this one would have been my number 5. The House movies. House.
Oh, dude, yeah, yeah.
Club Dread.
Mike.
Club Dread, yes,
Oh, I
another
forgot
good one.
about Dread. I forgot about
Yeah.
that one actually.
That was funny. Yeah.
House 2: The Second Story was always one of my favorites when I was a kid.
Got them on VHS, all of them, every one of them.
I think it was either part 3. I think it was part 3. I've never seen before.
Part 3 didn't actually exist.
No wonder I couldn't find it. Then why was there a House 4?
Well, see, I've got all 4 of them. That's the funny thing. There was House 1, House 2, and then House 3 is called The Last Horror Show, or Horror Show, or something like that. The Horror Show. It's got Lance Henriksen in it, and that other guy that was in a lot of 80s movies that was big, stupid looking, and blonde.
Dolph
And he had
Lundgren.
like this weird, huh?
Dolph Lundgren.
No. If you go look it up, you see the guy. You know what I'm talking about. He always he always was a bad guy in everything he was in. I don't think he was ever a good guy in anything. But it's got a very similar, like, I hate to compare it because it's a good one, but it's almost kind of like Shocker in a weird way.
Mhm.
but it has nothing to do. That was the weird thing. It had nothing to do with the House movies. Nothing.
That's weird.
But it was put out as House 3 in other countries.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
But
was
then you
just-
go back to House 4 and
No wonder I could never find it. So it was the Troll 2 of house movies.
completely. Yeah.
Interesting. See,
Yeah.
again,
Ah.
educational.
I gotta say, I had to somehow thank you to my buddy Jason Bartlett for being able to complete my collection of house movies because that's how I got that one. Is because he scavenges for VHSs and we collect that shit because we're VHS nerds.
You're loyal.
Get it?
You're loyal.
Loyal, yeah, we're very loyal. We're nerdy.
Oh,
Let's be
Cabin
honest.
in the Woods is actually that was actually an alright movie. I kind of dug that movie.
That was a good one. I like that one. I like Cabin in the Woods. That was a good one. Oh shit. I mean, we can't also forget though. I mean, and these are all just. I mean, okay, Bubba Hotep, like we were talking about a minute ago. Bubba Hotep, great story, fucking funny as hell. I just watched it. I rewatched it again a couple weeks back. That movie cracks my shit up every time. It's got a really comic book like story. It's got a very crazy theory, you know. But I mean, honestly, the Elvis thing in that it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Elvis calls it good. He's tired of being fucking famous. Other guy goes off and overdoses because fame's too much for him. He can't maintain. And then yeah, and Elvis is stuck in a old folks home trying to tell everybody he's Elvis. Nobody believes him. And then he meets.
Stecker.
Yeah, he's got the scene where he starts growing one, and the woman's like, "Oh." But like he also meets his friend John F. Kennedy Jr. or John F. Kennedy, who is a black man because apparently he wasn't really killed, and they turned him into a black man to cover up his identity. Which we've all seen the Zapruder film. There ain't no fucking way that John Kennedy is a black man right now. I'm just gonna say his head exploded a lot.
Glad we cleared that up. Oh,
Yeah.
Santa Slay.
Did nobody? Was there nobody else that thought that?
That I thought about.
Was there nobody else that thought Jacqueline Onassis was just kind of cute in that fucking video? As she just scrapes the blood and the guts and everything off the. She just looked like she's just screaming for it. No. She was ready to move over. It was time to go. Lyndon B. Johnson.
Oh, I
Sorry.
can't believe I forgot.
I'm getting.
Santa
I'm
Slay.
getting way into conspiracies on this shit now.
Is that our Chuck rant for tonight? We haven't done one. in a while.
Yeah, that's not a rant. That's just me being disgusting. Yeah. and I will go ahead and put it out there. Totally ripped it off Bill Hicks, but I totally got it though. It was the right moment. Sorry, you know.
Santa Slay was amazing. I love that movie.
That should go through on our show.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that's actually on Psychodistic TV. That one made it somehow, some way. We didn't get a strike for that one.
The first 10 minutes of that movie is hilarious because of everyone who dies in that opening scene.
That's part.
That is the I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there. That Santa Slay is the only thing good that Goldberg ever did. That's what I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. Santa Slay is the only thing Goldberg ever did that was worth a fuck. And that doesn't say much. But I have a complete hatred for Goldberg.
That sounds like a Chuck rant.
Okay, all right, we'll do it. All right, yeah, we'll fight it real quick. Fuck Goldberg. All right, first off, Goldberg is a piece of shit. All right, Goldberg is a football player, did not need to be in a fucking in the wrestling ring whatsoever. He didn't wrestle like he was supposed to. That's how people got fucking hurt, and they did get hurt. Bret Hart. Bret Hart, exactly. Bret Hart lost his fucking career because some motherfucker got fucking paid because they needed somebody to be like Stone Cold but bigger. Bullshit, complete fucking bullshit. I get so fucking tired of people fucking posting about how great. Like, there's even like I've got like okay, I live in Kentucky. Okay, I live in Kentucky, so everybody loves Goldberg. All right. Even though it doesn't matter how long he's done anything, they still love Goldberg. And I got hate on so many people. I had a drunk rant one time, big shocker. And sit there and just like cut into Goldberg over and over again. And it was just like, oh, how dare you? It was kind of like R. Kelly. It's like anytime I brought up that kind of shit, it was a whole fucking world of pain. Not pain for me, except for the fact that I had to hear stupidity. Because people want to sit there and say that like Goldberg, oh, yeah, Goldberg, yeah. Goldberg is a big fucking hunk of nothing. Okay. He charges at people. Okay. He doesn't know how to wrestle. He's made that perfectly clear. Bret Hart's career was not only ended, there was other people's that's careers were almost ended and were ended because of of Goldberg's fucking neglect for being actually know how to fucking wrestle. All he is a big fucking like dum-dum. Big dum-dum. And if he was here right now, if Goldberg was here in front of me right now, I would look at him and go, nice to meet you. And I would hide in my bedroom and I would yell all kinds of curse words at him. Yeah, fuck that guy. Santa's Slave, yeah, okay, we'll go with it. Fuck it. But
I was just thinking about the movie, not so much the star.
yeah, no, but you know what? You said go on a rant, and I hate Goldberg. I don't like any wrestler that gets cocky and tries to act like they know what the fuck they're doing, and all they do is just they do everything wrong, and then their fellow wrestlers get hurt. And when people don't know what the fuck they're doing, people get hurt, people get killed. And in that kind of like that perspective, I think that Goldberg should have never happened. He should have just kept playing fucking football. Leave this shit to everybody else because people were getting fucking hurt. Bret Hart was one of the biggest fucking wrestlers of all time.
Bret,
he was number one.
Hurt anybody. He never hurt anybody in his 30 years or 40 years, however long it was.
Because that motherfucker knew how to wrestle. He spent every day of his life in the fucking dungeon with his dad, him and his brothers and his cousins and everybody else being fucking like putting headlocks and putting in different things for fucking hours on end.
And
he knew the right way.
The concussion he got from Goldberg is what directly led to his stroke.
Yep.
That he had less than a year later, I think.
Yeah. It fucked him up.
I'm going to jump in on this rant. I better just.
No, I love the fact that like you agree with that. Because I mean the simple fact is though, if you don't know what you're doing with anything like that, anything that could cause damage to yourself or somebody else, fuck off. If you're not going to take the time to actually learn how to be a fucking wrestler, you're going to take the time to fucking actually learn, like it's like somebody going into an MMA fight with fucking Conor McGregor and not having a goddamn clue what to do. You're going to the wolves. You're going right into the fucking like the lion's den, and there's no coming back. You're fucked. And when people like go into the fucking wrestling ring, which they've gotten a little bit better about that shit to a degree. I haven't kept up with a lot of like wrestling because a lot of it's BS now. AEW is cool as fuck though. People get hurt. Goldberg is one of the biggest examples of what not to do. Has been for years. That's my rant. Chuck Nasty. Get your pull.
Well, if neither Triple H nor Undertaker can have a good match with you, there's fucking something wrong.
Well, yeah, that's another thing because I mean Undertaker, I have an Undertaker figure that my stepfather got me here recently. I'm a big Taker fan from way back, and Taker is professional as fuck. And when that motherfucker can't take you seriously or know what the fuck you're doing, that says it all right there. You can't fuck with the female.
Mike's trying to get us back on track. I think he knows he got us off track now. He's trying to get it.
It happens, sorry. Is this Zabruder film a horror comedy? Yes.
And I will say Little Shop of Horrors is probably the only musical I think I've ever liked. I'm not big on musicals, but Little Shop of Horrors I used to watch all the time.
See, I got to go with you on that one too. I'm not a big fan of like musicals. Little Shop of Horrors is a classic. But you also, I can't help it. Because I hate musicals. Sweeney Todd, that's a good one. The music and that's pretty cool too. With Johnny Depp, you've seen that, right?
I've never actually seen that.
Watch it. It's
Oh,
actually, I mean, it's not a bad one. And then I don't care what anybody says. My mom introduced me to the movie when I was a kid, and I still watch it every Halloween, just about. Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't care. It's a fun movie, and yeah, a lot of fun memories, goofiness. So yeah,
Oh, there's more. Would you consider Ghostbusters a horror comedy?
yes, completely, 100%. It deals with. I mean, we didn't even talk about the criteria of a horror comedy. So I mean, it's like you have to like you mix like your horror with the comedy, which means like it doesn't have to be that funny, but if it's supposed to be kind of goofy, that you add a little bit of horror to it, then cool. If it's supposed to be uber goofy with that little bit like Ghost of Mr. Chicken coming to us, yeah, right. It's more goofy and it's more comedy than anything, but they add that little hint of the haunted house stuff and makes it what it is. That's yeah. I had something better planned there for that. Lost track of time.
I totally forgot. We talked earlier about Shaun of the Dead, how that was kind of a given, and just we weren't going to put it on our list because it was kind of like last week when we did John Carpenter. We were like, we're not going to put Halloween on the list because it's a given.
Right. Yeah.
Which is why we didn't mention Shaun of the Dead, but we do acknowledge it.
We have to. I mean, yeah. Well, couple minutes. Shaun of the Dead, by far, so many friends of mine. And actually, I gotta say that my guitar player, if I remember correctly, he even said that Shaun of the Dead wasn't just his favorite horror comedy, but it was also like one of his favorite zombie movies. I think that's who said that. It's true. It's a good zombie movie, and it's fucking hilarious. I mean that's why we couldn't put it on the list because it's already known. I mean it's a good one. It's a classic. It has become a classic comedy.
And it goes back to a minute ago when you asked, like, it depends on the viewer where you want your balance. Do you want a perfect 50-50? Do you want, because I would say Ghostbusters is probably 80-20 with horror and comedy.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Sorry.
Dead somehow balances it out almost perfectly. I know. Which is really hard to do. Oh,
yeah,
Repossessed. Shit.
We actually watched some of that earlier.
Yeah, we did.
Nice. I haven't seen that in a while. Going back to the Ghostbusters thing, though, that's what I was trying to say was there is so much stuff in that movie that is just so borderline fucked up that you could definitely call it a horror comedy because there is so many moments where I laugh my ass off. You know, I mean, he's staring at me or he's looking at me, Ray, you know, and like, and he gets like, you know, covered and all that stuff. But like, it's also like, or Sigourney Weaver and Bill Murray are there. She's already possessed, all that shit. And she's breathing like a dog and all that. And she's like, I want you inside me. He goes, nope. Yeah, I thought there's too many people in there already. As a kid, I never got how funny that honestly is. And as an adult, I'm like, that's even better.
Well, the part when she gets possessed the first time, when the hands pop out of the chair, was actually kind of scary as a kid.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, definitely. I mean, fuck the woman in the library. Hell, Zool. Are you a god? No? Then die. We used to pull that shit off the fucking gas station I used to work at. If one of us was outside doing the trash in the mornings, you'd hear the other one on the intercom be like, "Are you a god?" And everybody that was in the parking, like, they would just stop, and then like you'd look up at the thing, you'd be like, "No."
Yeah, I didn't get raised BJ until I was a little bit older, but
I think I've talked about that so many times the past month. Like, it's so stupid. I don't even know why. Yeah, as a kid, you're trying to figure out what's going on, and like your dad's like, "Oh, look over there." Like, like I'm not explaining this to you right now. And I get older, I'm like, "Oh, she wasn't just trying to take his pants off so he can go to sleep."
Oh,
yeah. He didn't need socks.
Busted makes him feel good.
Yeah. Busted makes me feel good. Who doesn't? Okay. Whatever.
My God, this is another one that flew by.
Yeah.
These shows.
Completely.
Is there any other honorable mentions? I don't want to forget anything.
There's a lot.
God,
There's so many. I mean, the Ghoulies movies, since you want to mention that.
Critters.
Mention Critters. Yeah, I mean, even to a Respect Creep show in certain aspects. You know, there's a bunch. There's a bunch. But I think we have talked about some good ones this evening. And I hope that people take in consideration some of the ones that we've chosen and actually.
Yeah, I think there's 3 or 4 movies I'm going to watch tonight. Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
Well, before we lock up the store for the evening, does anybody have anything going on? Chuck Nasty?
I like how you put that on me. Yeah, there's a couple of things going on.
Really?
He got shit going on.
Yeah. Just we have the Fuck Cancer Middle Fest 11 going on July 24th, which is going on 23rd, 24th, 25th in Lebanon Junction, Kentucky. Good cause. Every year they raise a good amount of money to go to a good fucking cause, trying to figure out this whole pesky cancer thing, because it's kind of pissing everybody off, because it's just kind of hitting everybody, because it hits all of us. We're doing that. We have a show in August in Lexington, Kentucky at the Fish Tank on the 26th, I want to say. I could be wrong. Go to our page. If you haven't gone to our page yet, Bastard Sons of a Judas, go check it out. There are still copies of Tales of Shock and Terror from other podcasts, Tales of the Podcast. We have a comic book. Go check it out. You can find that. And also, I have to do this. I have to. Sorry, guys. All right, so shit's been fucked up this past week. I don't know how you all feel about certain things, but I know how I feel about certain things. And we took a step back. I'm not trying to be fucking political, but we took a step back in this country. Shit's about ready to hit the fucking fan. Things are fucking bad. Personal rights have been taken away from those that do not deserve to have personal rights taken away. And this is also making it to where things are going to fringe upon those that do not deserve it as well, that are in different groups. I'm going to take this shot. I'm going to take this shot anyway. But to all the women out there, stand by you. This is all bullshit. Sorry. This is all fucking bullshit. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. We're with you.
Yeah. So this shot's for every woman out there that's ever had to deal with any kind of bullshit and is going to have to deal with this fucking bullshit, because it ain't fucking right. It ain't fucking right at all. Not one bit. So welcome to the future.
Scary times we live in, but the video store is a safe place.
Always. Come visit.
Come visit. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to your humble video store clerks for the evening. Tune in next week at Wednesday. I don't know, guys. 10:30 might be our time. We did pretty well tonight. So tune in next Wednesday. Follow us on our Facebook page, Video Store Clerks, and make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You know the drill, guys. It's youtube.com/Night to Dawn. Links are on the page. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next week. It's
not a legacy I want to leave behind, but I am Chuck Nasty.
How the fuck am I out of whiskey already?
This shit can't be any fucking good.
Welcome to the store.